Hi, this is Bernie here, and today I'm interviewing Kyle Hunt, who is the founder of Remodel Your Marketing and the developer of the Remodelers AutoPilot. And Kyle and I met, or were introduced probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and have talked a lot in the meantime about how we can help contractors and particularly remodelers improve their business, close more sales, make more money, and all that. And Kyle's really terrific and has a great following. And if you don't know him, it's worthwhile to hunt him down and find out more about him. But what I'm talking about today with Kyle is his Remodelers AutoPilot program, which is a platform that he developed to help remodelers organize and automate their sales pipeline. We see a lot of our clients wasting time on unqualified leads. Their whole sales process is disorganized or non-existent in some cases. Lots of leads falling through the cracks because there's no follow-up system in place. They don't have any reporting to understand what kind of marketing is working, what their cost per lead, cost per sale is, and so forth. They don't stay in touch with prior clients to get repeat business and referrals, and trying to keep up with all this stuff and stay in touch with prospects and prior clients while running jobs and running your business and hiring people and
It's exhausting.
managing.
It's exhausting, Bernie. There's so much to do.
It is. It sure is. So I'd like to ask Kyle to give us a quick demo on this whole program. So Kyle, why don't you show us how this sales pipeline platform works?
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you for having me and for the opportunity to do this. I thought you'd mention also, he's the good-looking guy you see on that screen, but you just totally bypassed that. All right. So I'm going to go in. What I'm going to go into is just one of my active clients that is using Remodelers AutoPilot. And Bernie was hitting on a lot of the things that Remodelers AutoPilot does, but if I were to kind of boil it down, especially to those of you listening who have the closing success system, you have all of these tools. Now the challenge is, how can I be consistent with getting these things out? They're worthless, right, if we're not actually consistently sending them out at the right times to our prospects. They're wonderful tools to help differentiate us. They're wonderful tools to help build know, like, and trust with prospects. But if they're not going out, they're not getting the job done. They're not useful. They're not valuable. So what Remodelers AutoPilot is just a very simple program. There's not a ton of bells and whistles to it. But what it does really, really well. The few things it does really, really well. So what I wanted to show you is, I'll start by just showing the sales pipeline. So as I set up a new remodeler with Remodelers AutoPilot, one of the first things we do is get in here and set up our sales pipeline. So often I see it's either your sales pipeline, right? People that you have an appointment to be set. They've reached out to you. You need to set it. You're either at the appointment stage / working on proposal. You've done a proposal for, haven't signed it yet. That's a bucket of the sales pipeline that I love. The jobs in progress, so you've sold them, but the job isn't completed yet. And then completed jobs. So often, these are stacks of folders on your desk. These are kind of haphazardly tracked in an Excel spreadsheet. Sometimes they're handwritten out. Sometimes they're on a whiteboard. But what I hear consistently is, yeah, I kind of have that organized and set up. So one of the big things that Remodelers AutoPilot does is, with a click, we're able to see exactly who is in each part of our sales pipeline. So these are folks in the done proposal for, haven't signed. I click appointment / working on proposal. There's my people that are in that section of things. So let me go back to done proposal for, haven't signed, and I'll show you. We'll just click on one of these names, one of these homeowners, and the system's pretty simple customer relationship management, right? Where you can just kind of add somebody new, tab through really easily, put their address and information in. Actually, let me do this. This will be even more fun and be quick. I'm going to click on new client. So let's say you have a brand new client. I'm going to go ahead and add myself in here. Just put the address info in. Great state of Michigan. All right, and then down here, how they found us. So part of the setup is, how do you generate leads? So in the case of this remodeler example, just a lot of different options for how people find him. I'm just going to select website. type of project. We list out the type of project. When the lead contacted us.
Now, Kyle.
Yeah, please.
One quick question. That all gets customized for each particular client. So
Correct.
depending on their lead sources and the types of projects they do, right?
Correct. Yep. So that's part of the setup
right.
of the system. Is there's a form that I have all new Remodelers AutoPilot clients fill out that we talk through that, right? What are all the different ways people find you? And I'll circle back as to why that's super important here in a second. But again, this is kind of a brand new prospect. I entered their information in. Let's say we booked the appointment for the 27th. I'm going to put the time in here of 10 o'clock a.m. Okay. So what have I just done? Let me add the email address too. So what have I just done? I've added a new contact into my system. Now, one of the things it did is it automatically put them into a certain part of the sales pipeline. So in this case, it's at the appointment / working on proposal stage. And the reason they're in there is because the appointment date is filled out, but the project proposal date is not. So as we fill in these dates, they just move from one part of the sales pipeline to the next very, very easily. The other thing I have in here is how they found us, and we'll circle back and I'll show an example of that later. But what this is going to allow us to do is run a report. Usually I just do it once a year. Sometimes remodelers like to see it more frequently. But once a year, show me all of the leads I generated, exactly where they came from, how many of those leads by the different lead sources that I closed, so my closing percentage by lead source, and also how much revenue I generated from that. So often we are not holding our marketing dollars accountable, right? Well, I kind of think that's working for me. Well, I kind of think that's not working, versus really watching and tracking that. That's very, very valuable, right? What gets measured gets improved there. The other thing that this just did was, just by adding them into our database, there's a done-for-you email newsletter. I'll show you an example of, actually right now I'll show it to you. So once a month, there is a done-for-you email newsletter that goes out. Basically, Remodelers AutoPilot clients, my remodeling clients, they get an email that says, hey, here's your email newsletter for the month. Let me know if you want to add anything, tweak anything. Sometimes you might have a home show coming up. We'll put something like that in here. But every month it's just something real specific for kitchen, bath, additions, basement type remodeling projects, and you're staying in touch with them. Now, if I have 200 previous clients in here or 200 prospects and clients in here, and I'm staying in touch with them every single month like clockwork, if I'm not having to create all of the content, if it just, I can confirm it, I can tweak it, I can approve it, and it goes out, what happens? And I see it just time and time and time again. We get a prospect that says, hey, yeah, we kind of lost touch, but we're actually interested in re-engaging with you on that bathroom that you quoted us last fall. Or a previous client that says, you know what, we were just thinking about you guys the other day. We're actually now ready to work on that kitchen project, right? The majority of the dollars that you're putting in your bank account this year is coming from previous clients and referrals from previous clients. And a lot of times what I see, and this may be hit you guys between the eyeballs if this is the case for you, we're not staying in touch with them at all. So that's part of what the system does. One of the features is that done for email newsletter. So just by adding somebody new, all of that happened. Now, the real magic, if you will, is down here under sequences. So if I click add and I click on new prospect kitchen remodeling as an example, I would just click that button and two things are going to happen. Number one, there's an email that goes out. That's a nice appointment confirmation email. Let me show you a quick example of it. There we go. Right. So nice appointment confirmation email, puts the appointment date and time in there. Links them to some different resources to the website. In this case, this is a closing success system client. And we're linking to the homeowner's guide for hiring a professional kitchen remodeler. In his case, Bernie helped him with creating this pretty slick video, 4 questions to ask a professional remodeler. We're linking to hows, we're linking to the cost versus value report, if that's appropriate for you. So, what we do is kind of go through all the different emails and postcards that go out throughout the whole process and customize it. I work one-on-one with you and say, hey, all right, here's the email that, I kind of suggest we send out, hey, let's grab some of our closing success system resources. What can we incorporate in here? And we just kind of tweak and then finalize the different email. And the other thing that happens when I click on the new prospect kitchen remodeling is a postcard goes out. So the system has the ability to mail out postcards, 8.5 by 5.5 full color postcards. It puts their first name right here. Once upon a time, so and so decided to remodel their kitchen. It's got a nice message on the back, and literally all you did, you clicked add, you click that button, and the email automatically goes out, the postcard automatically goes out. So there's, time, right? We all lack time. There's so many things you need to do to run an effective and professional remodeling business. Remodelers AutoPilot saves you time and allows you to execute and get all of your closing success system resources out, and just all these different nice professional communications throughout the process. There's different follow-up postcards. There's different follow-up emails. When they sign with us, there's some nice communications that go out. And then I'll share one more. When the job is done, we click on completed job, and what will automatically go out is a nice client satisfaction survey. 20 days later, what will automatically go out is, hey, can you leave a review for us on Google and Houzz? 6 months later, an email will go out that'll say something like, hey, it's been 6 months since we completed your project. We just wanted to check in, see if you had any questions, any care maintenance questions, let us know. Thank you again for your business. And all we did was click a button and out it goes. So during the setup process of Remodelers AutoPilot, we customize all those different emails and postcards. So when this thing is ready to rock, which usually takes about 30 days or so for us to go through and customize everything, it's ready to go. And you're ready to add your next prospect. I'll pause there. Bernie, do you have any questions on what I've covered so far?
On that, if I'm not mistaken, that last one, the completed job, you've also got an email or postcard that goes out at 1 year and 18 months
Yes.
and 2 years, right? So,
Yes.
so all of that happens, and it's automatically scheduled in to go ahead for them clicking that one button. So that's what I think is so amazing about this system is that, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. It just all kind of happens behind the scenes. It's all taken care of.
Yeah. I just wrote an email the other day, that 6-month email that I just mentioned. That's what I'm showing on the screen here. And one of my clients up here in Michigan, he forwarded it to me and he said, Kyle, I didn't even remember that I sent this out, right? Because I clicked on completed job sequence 6 months ago, and take a look at this email below. Now, 2 things here. It's interesting. One, the email that the client sent, they actually had a couple little things that weren't quite working just right on their project that he needed to come back and fix, and he's more than happy to do that, right? So that's sometimes I get that rebuttal. Well, do I really want to reach out to him after 6 months? Yes. Make that a marketing expense for you to come out and fix that, because we want to give clients a remarkable experience, not a kind of sort of satisfied experience, because remarkable equals more referrals, more repeat work, makes our lives easier. But what was really interesting is that he went out to do that little fix, and guess what happens? Well, since you're out here, can you look at this? And we're thinking about getting the new I think it's about time we finish the master bathroom and dot dot dot. So talk about being proactive to number one, give great client satisfaction, but number two, to generate repeat and referral work, and do it on autopilot. Like this, all those things happen just by one click of a button.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, and I appreciate your showing how you integrated the closing success tools into that process for this specific client. So, good. Okay. So now, you mentioned something about reports when you were talking about, tracking your marketing. How does that work?
Yeah. So I'll show an example of it. So what it is, I'll just pull up this example. I'll make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. So what the easiest way I've figured out how to do it and really get the data that I want is just by putting it into a little spreadsheet like this. So when we're adding every single new prospect into the system and we're kind of working them through the entire system, every lead that gets in here, we're filling out this how they found us, right? Which if I asked 100 remodelers right now, hey, can you give me a report that shows total number of leads you generated last year, closing percentage by that, I would guess I could count the number of remodelers who could do that on one hand, right? Maybe 5%. And it's because they just don't have a simple system to track it, right? And therefore, they're not consistent with it. So we go in and we just grab out of Remodelers AutoPilot the data, right? Give me a report that shows total number of leads we generated. So this example client, 153 leads over the course of 12 months. Number of signed jobs, so these are the ones they actually closed. right? So they're sitting at a
Mm-hmm.
38.6% closing rate. What's so interesting about this is you start to dig in a little bit. Now I'm seeing my closing
Yeah.
percentage by previous client. That's interesting, right? And kind of expected. But Facebook's sitting up here at 57%. That's kind of interesting.
That's
My
huge.
website leads down at 30%, referrals. This one's curious to me. If it's a referral lead, I would
Yeah, a little bit
expect,
low.
yeah, I would expect that to be a little higher. Shows me my total
Yeah.
revenue I generated from each lead source, average job size. And then over here, I just plug in, how many marketing dollars did I spend on Facebook, on this, on that? And from that, it's kicking out, what's my cost per lead? What's my cost per job? So this print
Oh, that's
publication really
awesome.
pops out at me, where we spent $4,000, we generated 6 leads, signed 2 of them. But my cost per
Mm-hmm.
lead and my cost per job, those are pretty big outliers. So,
Yeah.
what gets measured gets improved. When you look at this, and I do this all the time with clients, when you look at this, it starts to change the way you look at where I'm going to spend my money, where I'm going to spend my dollars. The kicker a lot of times is you look at this previous client thing, and you think to yourself, man, part of Remodelers AutoPilot is to stay in touch with all my previous clients. I'm not being proactive at all with that. So there's just a lot of potential to increase that. Down here just kind of shows the
Clearly,
overall
the
job
more,
size.
yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the more jobs that the more leads that you can run into the lead source that's generating a 73% closing ratio.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really perfect, right? I mean, so it just underscores how important it is to keep in touch with your prior clients and all that.
Exactly. Yep. So that's how it's called a marketing dashboard report is what that is.
That's awesome. I love it. I love that. So, and critical information. I don't think the value of that information can be overstated. Really, I mean, it's really just incredible. So, so you touched on already the lead generation parts of your program. So you showed us the monthly newsletter, but you're also doing some Facebook posts and things like that. Why don't you talk just for a second about that?
Yeah. So a few more on other features. This one is not necessarily tied directly into Remodelers AutoPilot like the software itself, but it's something that I saw a need for, where here we are, we link to our Facebook page off our website, in our emails, etc. And a lot of times, this might be another hit you between the eyes moment to those listening to this. You go to your Facebook page, your company Facebook page, and it is March 2017, and your last post was in July 2016. That's just not a good look. Right? Man, these guys can't keep up with this. It's just not what we want prospects to see. So one of the things that's just a kind of an additional feature and value add is every month you get an email that says, hey, here's your social media posts for the month. If you want to post these yourself, feel free. Or if you want to submit this form, we'll go ahead and schedule them out for the month. And just nice, good, solid, some that are trying to go for some engagement, some that are just good examples. They're specific. This whole system is just specific for kitchen bath addition. Those are my people. That's who I designed this program for. So just a really easy way to stay current with the social media side of things. And then another thing on the lead generation side is the Pardon Our Dust postcards. So the system has the ability to mail out postcards. So a lot of times you're working in a neighborhood that is just ripe for the pickings. Good age of homes, they're all kind of ready to go with remodeling. They're seeing your job site sign, they're seeing your vehicles, they're seeing the activity, and then all of a sudden at the start of the job, they're getting a postcard from you, nice Pardon Our Dust postcard, and at the end of the job, they get a nice postcard as well. People hold on to those. People call off of those. It might be 6 months later, and they say, yeah, you did a project down the street. We had your postcard, and we're actually thinking about doing our kitchen now. I'd love to have you out. So the ability to get that out right now, like a lot of the things we're talking about, yes, it's a great idea, but how do I actually execute on that? Here's how you execute it with Remodelers AutoPilot. You simply fill out this form, company name, job site address, approximate start date, approximate finish date. You click submit, and it happens. So I have people on my team that go out and get the addresses. We have a program that we pay for each month that lets us kind of draw a little map around the neighborhood. We get the addresses, we toss them into Remodelers AutoPilot, and we click and add and send them the postcards right from the system. So that's another little.
Oh, that's great. So you're doing radius marketing almost on an automated basis, and you're the guys that are part of your program, they can do that on a job by job. In other words, if they're doing a job in an area that maybe they don't want to necessarily generate a lot of prospects and jobs from. They don't have to do this. This is on they decide on a job by job basis what they're doing.
Yep, exactly.
And that's awesome. That's great. So since you've landed here, why don't you tell us what the program costs and what else is included in that?
So the cost of it is $300 a month. So there's 15% discount if you prefer to pay annually versus monthly. And the way the process works is we schedule the first call. I have a little getting started sheet that I need you to fill out prior to us getting started. And we work one-on-one. So I'm working one-on-one with you and say, okay, here's the different emails and postcards that we're going to set up. So let me just scroll up here real quick. These are all the different parts and pieces of it, and we just start customizing them. I do most of the heavy lifting. We'll incorporate the closing success system documents in here, and just as we go through, if we're working on them, we turn them red. Once they're good to go, we turn them green. So we just meet weekly, one-on-one, and just work through piece by piece by piece of the system. Usually, if I was going to say under promise, over deliver, I'd say, from the time we start to the time we have everything rocking and rolling, I'll say 45 days, and I'll probably surprise you and we'll get it done quicker. Part of it is getting all of our previous clients and contacts organized into the system, getting our current pipeline in there. So all of that one-on-one customizing, and that's part of the secret sauce of this program is you can go out there. There's a lot of software programs out there. There's a ton of CRM programs, customer relationship management programs, or you go with like a Market Sharp or a Builder Trend or a CoConstruct. There's all kinds of different programs, but the key is you usually just buy the software and then, okay, now I got to customize everything. With this, everything's going to be 100% customized. And when we go live with it, you just start using it, right? As opposed to, okay, I bought this software, I'm excited about it. Now I got to go through the hours and hours and hours and hours of getting this set up. And that usually never happens, right? I heard somebody talk the other day, the graveyard of software, right? If we bought it and we never did anything with it. So that one-on-one setup is included. The cost of the software itself is included in that price. The monthly done-for-you email newsletter that I showed you, that's coming to you every single month. Doing the marketing dashboard report, usually annually or as you need it. The ability to do the Partner Our Dust campaigns, the company Facebook posts, and then the ability just to have access to me with little questions and whatnot. I'm working with remodelers all day, every day. This is what I do for a living. So the ability to just have another resource to bounce questions off of. That's part of it as well. So it's a steal, Bernie. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that seems pretty darn reasonable to me. $300 a month seems like an incredible bargain for everything that you get. But what would you say to the remodeler who thinks that that's kind of high?
Well, I would probably go the route of, I mean, I hate this answer, but it is an easy answer. Well, if you just close one more job, it pays for itself. I don't like it when people say that, but it's true. So the key is, this is just so practical, right? We are going to stay in touch with your previous clients consistently. Is that going to turn into more repeat and referral work? Yes. If you have the ability to come in here and click within seconds and see your sales pipeline crystal clear, be able to click a button to kick out a follow-up postcard or a follow-up email, or just be reminded to say, boy, look at that name. I need to just make a phone call to them. We convert just one more lead a year. We stay on top of that more. That's going to pay for itself. But the bigger thing is you feel in control of your business, right? You feel like you have an actual system that you use consistently. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to this program, so it gets used consistently. All my remodelers use this day in, day out, week in, week out. So, for $300 a month, you're fixing your sales pipeline, how you're following up, how you're staying in touch with your previous clients, your Facebook posts, being able to execute on Partner Our Dust campaigns, tracking my leads. You start adding it up, and it the value just really pops off.
Yeah, you know what? You said something really important there, and that is that they use it, and the closing success clients that I have that implemented our program, let's say 3 years or 4 years or 5 years ago, very often I'll have a phone call with them, and they'll say, it's just not working the way it did when we first started, and I've learned to ask the question, well, what did you stop doing? And invariably, they stopped using one or the other of the tools. and therefore the system. And so, we refresh the tools, update them, do whatever, we get it implemented again, and boom, their closing ratio goes right back to where it was when they first started using the system. And so that is such a key part of this, is that you're going to use the system, the program, the tools are going to get used because it's just so easy to do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really key point. When we were talking before we started the recording, you mentioned that you can only take a certain number of new clients each month. Talk to me about that for just a minute.
Yeah. So I have kind of my goal each month, and probably where I need to kind of stay with just my other clients and book of work is 4 new clients per month. I've been actively selling this since last July, last fall, and the way I have actually 2 assistants in my business that are kind of doing all the behind the scenes setup and work, but I'm on the phone one-on-one with each of the new clients to make sure everything gets set up right, to offer some additional advice and training along with getting everything set up. So I'm a busy married man with 4 kids and a growing business, so not to make it sound too specific, but I'm taking on 4 clients per month is kind of what I'm aiming for and what I've been doing.
Okay, so I would say that if this sounds interesting, that and somebody thinks they might want to move ahead with it, that they should probably contact you as soon as possible, rather than being potentially locked out for a month or a couple of months until you can get to them. So yeah. No, I sure understand that. I'm in very much the same boat.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So well, for those remodelers that are listening to this who are interested in moving ahead, what should they do?
So the page that you found this video on is going to have just a little thing you can click on, and if you want to fill that out, that'll notify me that you're interested. We'll set up a just a little one-on-one call. Before anything, I'm going to want to talk to you and just have a nice call to get to know each other, get to know your business a little bit, ask a lot of questions to understand, and just to clarify and make sure that this program's a really, really good fit for you. I'll tell you if it's not, and I'll tell you if it is. And also, you can just have the opportunity to get to know me a little bit more and what I'm about. And then, just fill out that little form, or I'll just give my phone number in case people are just sitting there and they can write it down, 517-902-8450. And my email is Kyle, Kyle, at remodelmarketing.com. And if you go to remodelersautopilot.com, you're going to get more information there as well.
Terrific. Okay. Well, great. Kyle, thanks so much for taking time today. I think this is really an awesome program, and I hope a lot of guys take you up on it.
Awesome. Thanks, Bernie. Appreciate you having me.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.